Yeah. So the fact that this is what the Sururiyya propagate, in fact we'll mention two things here. First of all, this is a text of an email from Ali Tamimi dated the 9th of March 97, 1843-57. Before we go on to that, let's mention something else. Remember we quoted the statement of Ibn al-Qayyim, al-hukm al-mubaddal, yeah? وَهُوَ الْحُكْمُ بِغَيْرِ مَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهِ. The tabdeel, the sharia which is replaced, is hukm al-mubaddal. And the one who's guilty of it is between kufr and dhulm and fisk. Now the Sururiyya, they try and become clever and they try and say, look, okay, even if we say that these things like tabdeel and reference point, whatever, just because we say that you can't apply the distinction of the Salaf to them, which is the tafsir of Ibn Abbas, and the fact that it can be kufr one time, dhulm one time, fisk one time, they try and say, just because we say this, that, these manifestations, tabdeel and istibdal, whatever, are not included within this ayah, are you Salafis automatically saying that we've done takfir? Do you get the point there? Yeah? So what I'm saying is, this is a shubahat that they try and use. They say, look, just because we say that tabdeel and istibdal and so on and so forth, it doesn't fall into this verse and the tafsir of the Salaf of this verse, are you Salafis then trying to say to us that we have automatically done kufr? In other words, what they're trying to do is they're trying to use this as a get-out clause. They're trying to imply that, no, we don't apply this. However, this is not true. First of all, because Ibn al-Qayyim didn't make that distinction to begin with. Al-hukm al-mubaddal wal-hukmu bighayri ma anzala Allah wa sahibuhu bayna al-kufr wal-dhulm wal-fisk. The one who's guilty of it is between kufr and dhulm and fisk. And secondly, the fact that they do this, and they do say this, that tabdeel, istibdal, whatever, is an exception from this understanding, and that anyone who's guilty of it is a kafir, mutlaqan, and wajib to do khuruj, here's a proof. So concerning this, Ali Tamimi said that he's asking a question now, does this tripartite division, so he's saying here that, there's three divisions that the Salaf have made, that it can either be kufr, or it can be dhulm, or it can be fisk, depending on the state of the ruler. He says that, does this apply to every manifestation of ruling by other than what Allah has revealed? So what he's trying to say is, does this apply like to tabdeel, what they understand as a tabdeel? Because remember, they're trying to use this to make a distinction. And does it apply to making something else as a reference point for judgment? So he's asking this question. And he says, and especially when this ruling by other than what Allah has revealed becomes general legislation. In other words, when someone comes and he starts replacing the laws in general, whatever, yeah? So he says, and if a person says, if a person says, no, that this tafsir of the Salaf, these three divisions, doesn't apply to all these manifestations, which is what they're saying, he says, so if a person says this, has he automatically adopted the madhab of the Khawarij? So he's asking this question. So do you get where he's coming from? So he's saying, just because someone says that no, tabdeel, istibdal, tahakum to other rules, that in itself doesn't fall under the three divisions that the Salaf make, kufr, dhulm, fisk, just because someone teaches this, does it automatically mean that he's upon the madhab of the Khawarij? So he's asking this question, right? Second question is the same thing. He says the issue of takfir. In other words, if we say, which is what they do say, that the tripartite division is inapplicable to all manifestations of al-hukmu bighayri ma anzala Allah, does this mean that we have by necessity considered the hakim in those manifestations to be a kafir? So now he's saying, okay, if we argue, so he's saying about himself, if we are arguing that these three divisions that the Salaf make, that no, kufr is not absolute, it can be kufr one time, dhulm one time, fisk one time, if we say, meaning we the Sururiyya, that this does not apply to all the manifestations, that it doesn't apply to tabdeel as they see it and understand it, or istibdal as they see it and understand it, or at-tahakum to other than the rule of Allah, then does this automatically mean that we've considered the hakim to be kafir? So he's asking this question after a lengthy debate in which he's argued with all these, like the Feek of the Tartars, and the fatwa of Shaykh Muhammad ibn Ibrahim, and the fatwa of Shaykh ibn Baz, which we'll cover. And then the reply to him was that we believe that you have already made your stance on this issue clear. Okay? So why are you asking this question? You've already made your stance clear. Why? Because in a message dated the 9th of March 1997, at the time 1843, 57 seconds, you write, a questioner asks him, So he's talking about the rule and what's present in the Muslim world today of the secular law and so on and so forth. And he explains, brings many quotations to show how the legislation of, for example, Pakistan or of Jordan and this and that and many other countries is not based upon the Quran and the Sunnah. Okay, so the complete pure reference point is not the Quran and the Sunnah. So he brings his quotations to show that. And then a question, if someone is asking him, okay, look, you quoted several sources to say that the total rejection of the Sharia and adoption of secularism is kufr. Okay, no problems. Now, what about those who rule by partial Sharia? So those countries in which there is partial Sharia, but there is secular law as well. For example, Jordan and Egypt, Pakistan, and what about Saudi? Okay, or Arabia, as we should be saying, as they say. So Ali Tamimi replies that the issue that needs to be understood in this matter is what is the reference point for judgment. Okay. Now, reflect here by what principle he's bringing and compare it with what the Imams of the Salaf, Ibn Abbas and the Mufassirin and Ibn al-Qayyim and Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen, compare this and Shaykh Muhammad ibn Ibrahim. So compare what principle he's trying to put across and compare it to what the ulama of the Salaf have expounded. So he says, the issue that needs to be understood in this matter is what is the reference point for judgment. If the reference point is the Sharia and only the Sharia, then any deviation is what Ibn Abbas and others among the Salaf refer to as kufr duna kufr, or an act of unbelief less than true belief. But if the reference point is secular law or a mixture of Sharia and secular law, like with the Tartars, okay, but remember the issue with the Tartars was that they made it from the deen of Allah. And they said that this is from the deen of Allah. And they said Genghis Khan is a prophet. And they said Judaism and Christianity is permissible. So on account of all of that together, they were considered kuffar because of istihlal and because of juhud. Okay? So he says, so if the reference point is secular law or a mixture of Sharia and secular law, like with the Tartars, then this is an apostate state, and it is required by the Sharia to forcefully topple the government. Okay? Then he goes back and tries to use Ibn Kathir, Ibn Taymiyyah as proof. So then, later on he says, as for Saudi Arabia, so he goes through all the constitutions of all of those countries and shows how they are not upon the book and the sunnah, which means in fact, every single Muslim nation on the face of this earth is an apostate state. And it's wajib to forcefully topple that government. Clear? So then he says, as for Saudi Arabia, the first article of its basic laws, March 1992, states, God's book and the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, God's prayers and peace be upon him, are its constitution. And he says, see the Middle East Contemporary Survey, edited by Emi Ayalon, Tel Aviv, the Moshe Dayan Center, 1992, volume 16, page 691. Then he says, this does not negate the existence of secular laws within the kingdom. So secular laws exist within the kingdom. Indeed, there are a large number of secular codes given the title of nidam. Nidam means that some rules have been ordered and arranged and put within the country, whatever. So here it's very clear, apostate states, khuruj against them. This is the madhab of the Khawarij. What are the two essential foundations? Takfir upon a kabira, without the tafsil, and khuruj al-hukam. Okay? Now compare this with the Salaf. What did Shaykh Muhammad bin Ibrahim rahimahullah said? He said, Man hakama biha aw hakama ilayha mu'taqidan sihhat dhalik wa jawazah fahuwa kafir al-kufru an-nakil 'an al-millah wa in fa'ala dhalik bidun i'tiqadin dhalika wa jawazih fahuwa kafirun al-kufr al-'amali alladhi la yanqulu 'an al-millah. And likewise all the other statements of the Salaf. So they don't say that just because someone refers to other than the Sharia as a reference point of the tabdeel, they say no, whoever refers to other than the Sharia and he does this out of the belief in its permissibility, then he is a kafir. So now do you understand that the Khawarij fall short and they say they do takfir by the sin in itself, whereas the ulama of the Salaf say no, the act is kufr, yes, but then we go further and we say that is this kufr in this specific circumstance does it proceed from juhud and istihlal and so on and so forth, then we do the takfir. And that's the distinction. And this is also the basis of the claim of the irja, that the sururiya refer to the Salafis, that you are murji because you don't do takfir. No. We say, no, we do takfir, but we have our principles, which means that the barriers have to be removed and the conditions have to be met. That's how we do takfir. And we don't do takfir mutlaq as they do. So that's from Sheikh Muhammad bin Ibrahim, a quotation from him.